University football office. This is Eric Malinowski alongside head football coach of Colgate University, Dan Hunt. And Coach, I know we've talked about this before. They do too good of a job with that intro because I know you're fired up, ready to go. But of course, there's some necessary steps before we get to the opener against Western Michigan. And one of those is National Football College Signing Day here. And a lot of athletes that are going to be future Colgate University student athletes. They've signed the national letter of intent, Coach, and we're going to run through them in just a moment. But I know with early signing period now, today's a little less stressful, Coach?
Yeah, it's kind of the second half. Usually we sign a few more kids in the first half, first signing period, which was in December, and then in the second signing period, you're looking to sign 8 to 10 kids. Same thing this year. A really good, solid group that came in on the second part of this. It was a little bit more stressful. There weren't a lot of kids that had committed early, so that made it a little bit of a rush these last couple of weeks, but it really paid off really well for us. Our staff did a great job to make sure that we finished this class strong, and this is year 3 of the 2 signing days, and I really like it. I think it really sets you up so you can focus where you need to focus in the second part.
Now, I know the core values are in place, Coach, but does it differ from year to year, whether it's places of need or you're just looking for the best student athlete available? Is it kind of a give and take process when you're going into the recruiting field?
Yeah, I think it's both. Obviously you go into every year with a plan of the positions that we need to recruit, the positions that we need to make sure we sign, and you have to really be tight to stick to that. I think one of the things our assistant coaches do a great job of is vetting kids and really doing their homework, in that we're not necessarily looking for the collection of the 23 best players. We're looking to make a team, and in order to do that, you really got to know a kid. You got to know what your values are as a team, what your culture is as a team, and will that kid fit in? And I think that's where I think Colgate in general and our assistant coaches really did a really nice job of finding the kids who not only are great football players, but at the end of the day, they fit what we're trying to do as a program. They fit the culture, what's going to be around them, and they're going to be able to be successful.
Well, let's now review the future Raiders, Coach, and let's start on the defensive side of things with defensive backs. And the Hinsdale pipeline continues. We go with Owen Goss, Hinsdale Central High School from Chicago, Illinois. Of course, Garrett Oakey currently on the team, Thomas Ives, Max Hartzman, so the Hinsdale pipeline continues.
Yeah, I think Coach Basham's going to rent a room at that school. He does a great job recruiting it. Owen is a kid. We noticed him at the Northwestern camp, and when you watch him play, the thing about him is he's just a physical defensive back who will come up and hit you. He's a big kid. He's played corner. He's played safety. He does everything that we need to do in the secondary. He can cover. He can come up and smash you, and put pressure in the run game and the pass game. And again, continuing that tradition out of that school where the first defensive kid from there in a while. So, but we're real happy to have him.
Not as much of a tradition, but you do have some connection to Texas, and we're going back to Austin, Texas. And I love this name, Sage Luther.
Yeah, Sage is a kid, Westlake High School. Again, state champion down there at the highest level, so you're dealing with someone who's used to winning football games. His mother has actually won Olympic gold as a swimmer at the Atlanta Olympics. But he plays, again, if those that know our program, if you think of Drabowski, back there, this is what he plays like. He has physical presence in the secondary. He could come up and play linebacker if he has to, could cover. When he hits you, you know it. He's just our type of kid. From day one, when I watched him play football, we said, boy, that's the type of kid who's going to fit in with our defense, brings the wood. Every time he hits, he's going to have those game-changing hits that we're so used to.
Those type of athletes aren't a dime a dozen, so how challenging is it to find a kid that fits the Colgate mode in terms of a student athlete and that likes to hit?
Yeah, I think that's important. One of the things we look at first is how they play. We don't worry as much about the measurables of height and weight and all that stuff. Obviously, there's some bare minimums you got to have, but at the end of the day, it's really measured in heart. And this kid, he has it, and I think our coaches do a great job of identifying kids like that. It helped that we've been down. We've got a good relationship with their family, and we've been able to build on that.
Staying with the defensive backs, let's go to Rumson, New Jersey. For Drew Frankel, Coach, tell us about this young man.
Yeah, Drew's another kid. We've had a long relationship with him. We've seen him play. We've seen him practice. Another one of those kind of Swiss Army knife guys. We have him listed as a defensive back, which he certainly could be a defensive back. But he can play just about anywhere in the football field. He's a corner. He's a safety. He's an outside linebacker, which really is a coach's dream. When you look at our team, we look at our defense as 3 linemen, 2 corners, and 6 runners and hitters. And this kid's a runner and a hitter, can really do just about anything you ask a defensive player to do, and really brings that same love of the game, that same culture. Great family that we've been close with for a while, and he's going to fit in just great here.
We're going to make a couple stops at St. Thomas Aquinas, but the first stop we're going to make is for a defensive back, and that is Blaine Anderson from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas is one of the premier high school football programs in the country. They won the state championship in Florida. They went out and won another game and were crowned the national champion high school. And Blaine is a kid that kind of really fits everything that we're looking for out of the defensive back position. He can cover you man-to-man. He's covered some great players. He obviously plays at a high level. He can come up and hit you, and he's also very good with the football in his hands. He loves the game of football. One thing about this kid is he drove about 50 minutes every day to get to school and to work out and do the morning stuff. That's love of the game. He did it for a reason. He wanted to be a part of this program, and he can do everything that Coach Stakasi is going to need our secondary to do. He fits like a glove, so we're real excited to have him.
With a school like Colgate, out of the Patriot League, recruiting from such a great institution like St. Thomas Aquinas with so much success, how much does the Florida pipeline help that Colgate has been there for years and years and it recruited great talent from the state of Florida?
Yeah, I think it helps. We've always had a strong presence down there. I don't think we've ever gone a year without getting a couple kids from Florida. They know our name. They have name recognition. We have a lot of alums back down there. And we've won. I think one of the things football does, they take winning seriously. Florida takes winning seriously. They take football seriously. And we can come down there and show them the success that we've had as a team, and then show them the success that the kids from Florida who have gone through our program that they're having now. It's a nice transition. And believe it or not, they really don't care about the weather in the winter.
Great linebackers here through the years at Colgate University, and we have 3 on the list that are going to try to come here and keep that tradition alive. And we're going to start. You have to have a linebacker from Pennsylvania, Coach. So let's start with Evan Jones.
Yeah, Evan he's from Coleman Cocos High School out in Pittsburgh. That same type of player. He's no nonsense. He's a physical kid. He can get after the quarterback. He can cover. He can stop the run game. Just when you look at our type of linebacker that we've been going for, he's exactly it. He plays multiple positions. He's very versatile. Again, we've had a long relationship with him. Obviously, we know the school with Coleman coming from there. He knows Coleman. But, it kind of fit nicely for what we asked that outside linebacker position to do. He's going to be able to slide in and do really well. And, it was nice to be able to, get him on board here as one of our outside backers.
Staying in the state of Pennsylvania, Coach, let's talk about Taylor Margolis.
Yeah, another kid came to our camp, did a great job there. Truly a Colgate kid. He's, when you watch him play football, he loves contact. He's a violent football player. Played multiple positions. He played some running back, but he's going to hit you, and you're going to know he hit you. Really good family. We're real excited to have him. He's just one of those. He can play inside. He can play outside. Really does a lot of positive things on the football field, and we're excited to be able to get him in that same kind of that runner and hitter category.
Back to New Jersey we go for the third linebacker, Christian Sweeney. Coach, tell us about him.
Yeah, just kind of, he's one of our later guys we just got. We're real excited. Coach Walsh got him out of New Jersey. Same mold. Bigger kid, can play inside, likes to hit you, can run through you, plays downhill, does everything that the linebacker position that we're looking for. Again, kind of one of the last guys that we got in this period. I know we're still not done. We can talk about that later. But just a good, solid football player who had been around here, been to camp, and has been around the program and wanted to join into it. And we were able to keep that relationship going. And I think he's going to really fit a nice need for us at linebacker.
Crazy talent on the defensive line last couple of years with Nick Wheeler, Pat Afriye. Enough said there, Coach. So picking up hopefully where they left off. We got some great kids coming in, and let's start from Allentown, Pennsylvania, Jalon Perkins.
Yeah, Jalon has the ability to be a dominant football player at our level. He's big. He can get after you off the edge. He can stop the run. He's a violent player with great acceleration. One of the things about him at his size, he's a very good basketball player. We just saw a video of him playing basketball, sliding his feet, playing defense like a guard, like a kid much smaller. And he's got a huge lower body. He's going to get a lot bigger, and he's really going to wreak havoc on offenses here. We're real excited for him. And he's been one of our, we signed him in the first period, and he's been one of our better kids as far as, being a cheerleader for the recruits that we're still getting. He's an active kid in the group chat with them and the social media. He's all in, and he's going to be a leader here. And boy, he's a really good football player.
Going into the state of Ohio, what can you tell the Colgate football fans about Nick Marsh?
Nick Marsh is a kid, again, when you watch him play, he's going to wreak havoc off the edge. You got to have those guys that can get after the quarterback. So, he's not a real thick inside guy yet. He's going to get a lot bigger, but he is a relentless pass rusher. He's got great hands. He's going to disrupt quarterbacks, which that fits into what we try to do in the secondary. With what we do in the secondary, you got to be able to generate pressure on a quarterback. And so when we look for a D lineman, one of the things we look for is guys that have the hands and the speed off the edge that can get to a quarterback, before he gets set up, get him out of his comfort zone, and he's certainly that. He's going to be an impact player for us.
And what a talent, Coach, you have coming from the Hoosier State. Tell us about Katri Dickens from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah, Katri was another one. Noticed him at the Northwestern camp. Had multiple offers from a lot of schools. Coach Belfiore did a really nice job. Coach Eisen did a really nice job fostering the relationship with him. He's a great wrestler. He's a dominant inside guy, can rush the passer. He's 280 pounds. Really one of the kids we're real excited about in this class. To watch him wrestle and to watch him. We were just out watching him wrestle. And to watch a kid that big move like he does, and wrestlers are very good at using the opponent's weight against him. So he can do that. He can wreak some havoc as a pass rusher and in the run game. Just a great addition. This D-line group is strong.
To the offense we go, Coach, and let's, of course, start with the quarterback position, and let's talk about Harry Kirk from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Harry came to our camp, and it was an easy decision at that point. He can really throw the football. He's a winner. He's got that savvy to him when you watch him play. He makes plays after they break down. He's got a strong arm. He's accurate. He's won a lot of football games, and he carries himself that way. That's one of the things that I really liked about him, was you knew he'd won. You knew that the moment of being a quarterback's not going to get too big for him. He's a good athlete. He can run. He's probably going to run you over before he runs by you, but he runs. He certainly runs well enough to do what we ask that position to do. But a lot of quarterback is just that intangibles. When you know him when you see him, you know him when you meet him. And when he came to our camp, kind of watched the way he handled himself, watched the way he was interacting with the coaches. And then when you watch him play in high school, he's won a lot of football games. And when you talk to the high school coaches in that area, they all said he was one of the best in that area. And Coach DeCoste has that relationship with the coaches there. And every one of them was saying, hey, Harry's a guy you're going to want. Boy, you guys got a really good one. So we're real excited for him.
There's the skill set, Coach, but how important is it the quarterback wins games?
I think it's important. I think quarterbacks, right or wrong, are judged. They're the only football position that people give a record to, and so, at the end of the day, that's what they're judged by. So when you're somebody who's been around and won a lot of games and he's played in a lot of big games, I think if nothing else, it's a tiebreaker. When you see two kids, if this quarterback's won more games than this quarterback, you're naturally going to go with the kid who's won more games. And Harry's won a lot of football games, and you can tell. And I think it's a must at a quarterback position.
Talking about a powerhouse position here through the years at Colgate University, we're going to talk running backs next. And let's start with a kid from Pennsylvania, Max Hurlman.
Yeah, Max he's that change of pace, kind of outside speed guy. Can also put him in the slot, hit him speed sweeps, throw him the football. Obviously, you watch him here; he can return kicks. Just that guy that you have to give him the ball. However many ways we can come up with to give Max the ball, we are going to give him the ball because he's a big play waiting to happen. He can run inside as the running back. He can run outside as a slot. You can throw him a bubble screen. He's going to make good things happen. He's a very versatile kid. He's got good hands. He's played a couple other positions. Just really, when you're looking for that change of pace, that slot, that other tailback guy, he's perfect for that position, and he's going to be able to do a lot of things for us.
I'm usually not good on coming through with my promises, but it's National Football College signing day, so I told Coach Hunt that I would be true to my word. So we're going back to St. Thomas Aquinas for Jaden Henry, Coach.
Yeah, Jaden is, more of the true typical tailback in our offense. When you look at him, he's built, he's a stronger kid. If you watch his highlight film, and I know we'll see a couple clips of him here, but if you watch his highlight film, he's got the big home run runs. But the last 5 or 6 minutes of his tape is just him kind of, turning a 5-yard gain into a 10-yard gain, and that's a skill that really makes an offense go. The biggest yard in football is the difference between 3 and 4 yards, and he's a big enough kid to where he can go ahead and get that yard for you and hit the home run, and he was highly recruited, had a lot of offers coming out. We stuck with him. Another kid from a dynamite program at St. Thomas, And again, another national champion, another state champion. But he's a kid that really fits what we're looking for at the running back, and we're real excited.
Let's go to wide receivers, Coach, and let's talk about a kid from Skinny Atlas, New York, in Nick Wamp. What can you tell the Colgate football fans about Nick Wamp?
He's a fairly local kid, right? Skinny Atlas. He's got several state records as a receiver. Has won sectional champions, has won state champions. He came to our camp starting as a sophomore and never looked back. Just a big target, can run, great lacrosse player, great family. Just a guy we noticed him as a sophomore, and with the receivers, you want a big catch radius. That's what he has. You get the ball near him, he's going to catch it, and then he's going to be able to run by you. So, to get a local kid in the area who, we didn't let him out. We kept him close to home, and he's going to come here. He's been here a lot, and he's going to do great things for us.
Going to the state of Ohio, what did you like about Jake Ryan? Why is he a good fit for Colgate?
I loved him in Pretty in Pink. No, just another kid. He's got a catch radius. He's a good-sized human being. He's tall. But he also can run. I think that's when you look at in our offense. If you can get a big target that can run by people, that's going to be important. And Jake certainly, he can catch inside in traffic. He can catch outside on fade balls. And turn a short one into a long one, which that's a quarterback's friend. A 5-yard completion that goes for 70 still goes down to 70 pass yards. So, he was a kid that we noticed his skill set right away, and he was an early signee and really going to come in and hopefully make a difference for us.
While we're making the trek from Ohio to Pennsylvania, we're going to stay with the Jakes, and now let's talk about Jake Spencer.
Yeah, Jake is another kid that signed in December. Another kind of jack of all trades receiver. He can return punts. He can return kicks. He's actually played quarterback, done everything. But we see him as a kid who's going to be able to come in, get into the slot, and do that same thing we just talked about. Turn a short pass into a long pass, turn a punt into a touchdown. I can tell you this: he loves football. His family loves football. He's been around Colgate now for a while, and he wants his program to be good. And he's going to do everything he can to help us, and we're real excited to get him up, get him started, and kind of keep that pipeline from Pennsylvania going, and he's just that another one of those kind of jack of all trades, good football players, had the ball in his hands. He's going to be able to do some good things.
Of course, talent is talent, and there are some exceptions, but when I look at the Colgate football roster, even before I look, I can usually tell what a running back is height-wise and weight-wise through the years at Colgate. But as wide receivers go, Coach, you kind of need a variety on the roster, right? There isn't one mold that you really look for.
What you'd like is if 5 wide receivers were walking to practice together, you kind of want them to look like a basketball team. You want some bigger guys, but you need the point guard. So there's no cookie cutter, body type or anything. We've gotten kids that are tall, short, doesn't matter. Even some kids speed-wise, some have been faster than others, but Coach Basham does a great job getting those guys to be effective and being productive no matter what they are. But you can't have, that's a very good point, you just can't have one type of kid playing wide receiver.
Let's go to the tight end position. Let's go back to New York State, and everybody knows how good Shenango Forks High School is, and lucky enough to get a kid from there, Matthew Paskey.
Yeah, Shenango Forks, another state champion. Matt's got a lot of Colgate ties. His grandfather played here. He's in the Hall of Honor. Both his uncles played here, right down the road. So it's nice to have, again, another local player, another kid. He came to our football camp, really showed that he had all the skill sets needed to be a tight end for us. He's playing basketball right now, so we got to get him in the weight room a little bit, but he knows that. But he came to our camp and he showed he could be physical. He can run. He can catch. He's a good-sized kid. He's got long arms. He's got big hands, and again, he's won a lot of football games. If you look, there's a lot of state championships in this class, which I think again yields that culture of winning. Yeah. If you're coming from somewhere that's used to being in the playoffs and used to winning championships and used to winning games, that's something we just want to kind of continue with.
I love it, Coach. Next tight end from Arizona, Colgate University, dipping into Arizona to get Will Parker. Tell us about him and how did he come to Colgate?
Yeah, we're a national program. We get all over the country. We had some ties with some of his coaches, but it's an area that we've had kids from Arizona before, not for a while. His father actually has been, I think it was 12 years in the NFL, played in 5 Super Bowls, and when we saw him, he's just we have a tight end. I'll be honest with you, he could play linebacker here. He probably could play running back, but we think his skill set for us right now at tight end, he's going to bring that physicality. As you watch his film, At linebacker, he comes up, he hits you. So he's physical. He can run. You see him run, you see him catch. So he has all the tools, and he brings that physicality to the tight end position, which in our offense we need. We know, he's going to put his face in and block you in the run game, or he'll run you over on a short yardage play. All that stuff that we're looking for. Good bloodlines, obviously, with his family, but just nice. Arizona's a new area for us recently.
Yeah.
We want to keep taking our footprint of Colgate football and putting it all over the country. So we're real excited to get it kind of back into a state we haven't been in a while.
And since we've been doing this show, you've really been doing that. I know the Midwest, and you've been really, like you said, national program game all over the country, but you always like to see some new states like Arizona that you haven't been into a little bit.
Yeah, Arizona, Indiana, we haven't been in a while. We want to keep our program as somewhere that we can tell you no matter where you're from. Most people have heard of Colgate. Academically, most of the country's heard of Colgate. And I think over the last couple of years, from a football standpoint, when we go into a school in Arizona or Washington or wherever, they've heard of our football team. They know our football team. They're familiar with our program, which is the goal. So we want to keep bringing in that diverse class from all over the country.
And you're talking about Will Parker running over people, talking about people that are going to run over defensive players. Let's go to the offensive line. And from West Essex High School in Fairfield, New Jersey, tell us about Bartle Gashi.
Yeah, Bartle, another one, early signee from the winter. Came to our camp, did a great job. Another team that won a state champion. He's also a state finalist as a wrestler. You can get a sense a little bit of a pattern here. Just our type of lineman. Likes to run block, which obviously starts, but can pass block. Physical kid. Again, that wrestler mentality that can use his opponent against him. Fits in really well with what we're trying to do. And as you know, it all starts with us up front. So we're always going to be very thorough in what we look for in our offensive lineman. He fits exactly the scheme. And like I said, he's been committed since December. And we're real excited to get him up here, get him started.
I remember back to the days of Nate Eachus with that wrestling background, coach. And not that you have to wrestle, but how important can that be? It kind of translates into that football mentality and footwork as well.
Sure, I agree. I think in general, we want kids, no matter, I want kids that have played multiple sports, period. I like kids that have been on a free throw line with 2 free throws to win a game, or been up in the bottom of the ninth and have to get a hit to win a game. But wrestlers, when it comes to the skill sets in football, particularly, front seven on defense and offensive line, the skills that they have as far as being able to leverage and get under people and move people that don't want to get moved where you're moving them, I think that ties in really well with football. So that's one of the things, again, you talk about those tiebreakers. If we get a kid who's an offensive, defensive lineman maybe, and he's a wrestler, that's going to add to his stock for us. And certainly Bartle is that.
I love this hometown, Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Tell us about Matthew McGeary.
Right, another kid, again, signed in the first signing period. This is going to get redundant. He's a state champion off his football team. Again, if you were to draw up a Colgate guard, he could probably be the mold. As an inside guy for us. He's got a big barrel chest, but he can run. Again, for what we do offense, we need our linemen to be able to move. And he's a big kid with great feet who can run, who can finish, who finishes violently, and again, has won a lot of football games. That's St. Joe's Prep is obviously one of the best programs in Pennsylvania. And, again, used to playing in big football games, used to being in a big spot, and we think that will translate down the line here when he gets into big games here.
Next up, usually there's 1 or 2 on the list every year where you're not sure exactly where you're going to put them in as of yet, what position, but athlete, Bo Luther, and you're telling me usually when we list athlete, we think of a maybe defensive back, wide receiver. This is a big athlete, coach.
Yeah, this is a little different than your normal athlete. This is a kid who can play multiple positions, but they're either going to be, defensive line, outside linebacker, or tight end, and that's great. When you look at that skill set of being big, physical, strong, can run. Again, dad in the NFL, which is a huge thing for us. He's one of those guys. He checks so many boxes that we'll figure it out when he gets here. Right now, we kind of have him slotted for that tight end position for us because that's where the biggest need is. But at the end of the day, I think it's our job as coaches is to put him where he's going to be the most successful. Obviously, he's told us he doesn't care where he plays. He's a football player. That's what they're going to say. And he's got the skill set to play probably 3 or 4 different positions for us, which is huge, especially as he gets in the weight room, moves down the road, and his body changes. You never know where he's going to go. But he checks the base box of he's a strong, physical kid who loves the game of football. You start there at Colgate, you can be successful, and we'll do the rest.
the kicking game so crucial, Coach, and I know the kicking game this year was outstanding. So talk about, you're bringing in Jacob Jaworski, and that last name is familiar because he has a brother on the roster.
Yeah, he's coming in to join the family with Jaws, and we're real. Whenever we can do that, when we can have brothers on a team, I think it's great to have a Colgate family. The Jaworskis are Colgate family through and through, with the uncle and everything. So it's just nice. He's another kid. I'm going to sound redundant. Came to our camp, came to our specialist camp. Kicked the snot out of the football. Again, just because his brother's on a team, that doesn't mean that that's why he's here. I told him that. I said, everybody has a brother, but he's earned this position as a kicker for us. He can do all three. Really improved his punting between his junior and his senior year to where we feel like, he could probably do all three jobs for us, which is huge, which is huge. And then to have that tie-in with the family, I think that just makes it a lot easier for it. Makes it easier on the parents. They only have to come to one game to see both their sons play. But, again, we talk about family, and they're a Colgate family, but at the end of the day, he's a really good place kicker, punter, kickoff guy, or else he wouldn't be here. He earned that, and he's up for the all-decade team, all-decade team down at Delaware in high school. So, obviously, a really talented player.
And since you mentioned Jaws, Coach, we will stay there for a second. Your creative juice is always flowing, and your Twitter game is on point. And you always have a theme for signing day. So what was the theme this year, Coach?
Yeah, when I went to 2 signing days, it made me double my my movie quotes and my themes. And so this year, Jaws is one of my all-time favorite movies. To be honest with you, I thought of it when I saw Jaworski. I said the word Jaws this morning. I said, let's go there. There's some great lines in that movie. Again, it's a little bit older, so I'm sure some of the recruits are saying, what is this crazy man talking about with these quotes? But, it's just fun. It's fun. It's a nice way to kind of tie together the signees and have that little theme. And we've been doing it now for 5 years or so. And I'm running out of movies. I might have to go back to Seinfeld soon. But it's just a nice thing to do. And, it's our little signature of what we do at signing day.
We'll stay with your Twitter game for just a moment, Coach. I always want to follow your Twitter, so I know what's going on with Colgate football. But I also want to know what coffee to get, because I'm a little bit in a coffee rut. And tell us about this newfound barista here at Colgate University.
It happens to be his birthday. Coach Eisen, our defensive line coach, turns 40 today. It's a great day for him. He certainly got a good gift with those 3D linemen we signed. But I found myself traveling with him a decent amount this year between looking at defensive linemen or the Western PA Ohio kids. And I'm a black coffee guy. Give me a gas station, give me a cup of black coffee. And then when I'm with Coach Eisen, it's always, we're going to a Starbucks and he's ordering coffee with words I've never heard of, quad this, vente, all this stuff. So I get a little coffee lesson with him every time we go. And last time we even stopped at a gas station and we were at a Sheetz, which I figured I got him. There's no way.
Yeah.
He found a jar of Starbucks iced coffee to still go. So, but it's nice. It makes it fun on the road, to have that levity. And we do spend a lot of time. There's a lot, the assistant coaches, I can't tell you how hard they work. And we were down one coach and for a lot of this recruiting cycle, and everybody had to pitch in and pull together and make up for it. And these guys, at the drop of a hat, they're in Austin, Texas to Cleveland to just pick up and go. And it's a long, stressful period for these guys. And obviously their wives are saints for putting up with them being gone so long. But it's a grind. The recruiting, it never ends. We're right back in looking at next year pretty soon. But it's quite a challenge. And luckily I have great assistant coaches. It would not. This is all them. They find these guys. They develop the relationships. And I just get to come in and talk to them at the end. But they did a great job. I'm the luckiest man in the world when it comes to our staff, and they've put a great class together that I'm really proud of.
As we near the tail end of this show, Coach, what is your feeling about this year's class? And I know until you see them on the field, until they come to the campus here, you don't really know, but just overall, what are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, obviously every coach in the country is going to sit here and say they're really happy with their class today, but I am really, I think we have some different makers in this class. I think as a group, they kind of recruited each other. They got together and they kept talking about, the values of Colgate football. And listen, we're not coming off a championship season. We're coming off a disappointing year. And when you get a great class, when you're not selling the immediate success of the previous year, yes, we've had success in the last couple, that this group is here because they've bought in and they believe in what you do as a program, which is what we want, and I think that's the first step to getting a great class. Great film, talented kids, a lot of other offers, state champions, all that stuff, but they're here for the right reason. That's the first step in judging a class. Now, obviously, yes, the next step will be in August when they're here, and then probably the next step will be 2 or 3 years later when you see how they develop. And then the final step will be, do they walk across that stage in 4 years and get the degree that we've talked about, and are they getting the career that we work so hard to get them to get? And you know, you keep judging there. Are they a quality citizen? Are they a great husband and father and all that stuff? You know, so it never ends. But obviously, the first step, I can honestly check that box that we're real excited about this group.
And we all know when you come to Colgate, true student athlete coach, Patriot League honor roll recently released. You had to be very excited. 26 kids making the list.
Yeah, I think that says a lot. Colgate's it's a challenging place academically. These guys don't get any breaks. They take the same classes. They have the same demands of everyone else. And for 26 guys to get that honor roll in the first semester, I think that's real impressive. And I think it says a lot for the hard work, and again, I use that word culture of this team, that, you know, they're not just great at football. You know, if you're going to be great at something, be great at everything. If you look at these guys, they're great students, they're great citizens. They probably, most of them have clean rooms, not all of them, but they're successful people, and to do that, to achieve that, in addition to going through the season, and especially the season we had this year, I give them all the credit in the world.
Other than you being a guest on this week's Colgate Raider Report podcast, which you can, of course, find at gocolgateraiders.com, what's next, Coach? What's the lead up to the Western Michigan game?
Well, we start, it's kind of a new cycle now. We'll finish up recruiting. We still have a couple of kids we're still involved with that we may add later on. And then we have our banquet on Saturday, which is a nice kind of, put a stamp on this year and then get ready for next year. Our kids have been lifting since they've been back. The energy in the weight room is fantastic. And then we'll start our after the banquet, we'll start our morning runs in the field house, kind of get the energy up, get ready for spring ball, and have a great spring, and then get into the spring recruiting cycle again, do it all over again, have a little bit of a summer, and the next thing you know, it'll be camp, we'll be ready to go play Western Michigan. So just kind of ending one chapter with recruiting, get to the next chapter of getting back to football, which is always fun. Coach, I look forward to this every year. Thank you so much. Great time as always. Appreciate it. That is Colgate head football coach Dan Hunt. This is Eric Malinowski saying until the Western Michigan game, be proud to wear the maroon and white. Patriot League Network on Stadium.